spirit area. Well, let me give you another example also of the advantage of doing this. I got 2 emails this week, vastly different emails over similar subjects. One email I get is from a family that I've known for at least 13 or 14 years. I was their primary doctor, still am, for their mother, the father, and their daughter. I watched the little girl grow from this to someone like this, and now she's in college. She's a freshman in college. She left in August to go to college, and in a span of 5 months, she's been badly sick 3 times. Badly sick. So now I get this emergency email from her mother saying, can you help her? The medical doctors want to take her to the hospital because now she has a severe lung infection. Her finals are this Saturday, like this Saturday. Now she wants to do well, and she's working from the heart area. What do we say about the heart? Fear, doubt, uncertainty. All the issues that she's had over the last 5 months have been related to this area. There have been heart issues, there have been lung issues, respiratory problems, and even kidney issues, and kidneys are related to these areas also by Chinese medicine. All right? There's nothing I can do. I can't do anything. I don't have time. But I did tell the mother, because the mother understands these concepts, to pray for her daughter, and hopefully her daughter will make a change, because as long as her daughter stays here, she's in self-sabotage. I've been there. I know what it's like. I know some of you may have been. But I don't care whether we're working from here or there, it's self-sabotage. It's not going to be any better when you have the brain or the heart side. Now, the next day I get another letter, another email from another young man. He goes off to college too. Not the same college, but he's a freshman also. And 2 weeks ago he calls and he wants to know, how can I do well with my final exams, because these are difficult exams. These are oral exams. Okay? And there are 3 of them. And these are tough. So the first thing I did was evaluate where is he coming from in this question. He's coming from the heart. He's just like she was. Coming from the heart. He's in fear. But now I explained to him what we're doing. I explained to him exactly what we were doing last week, 2 weeks ago. Okay? He understood all this. He understood that he really was working from here. He was very inefficient in his studying process, because how can you study and learn if you're in fear? You can't. It's very inefficient. So he understood that he had to make a choice. He had to be able to decide, is there a God? If there's a God, this God is trying to help me. This God will do whatever he can to help me. And I explained to him the techniques, so he understood how to move, understood how to move from here down to the spirit side. All right? So now he's getting efficient. And I was watching him over, say, the next 5 days or so, and I was watching where he was working from, and he was working from down here. Well, I get the email from him. He takes all 3 exams. He gets 3 A's. Very easy for him. In fact, he did so well in those exams that one of his professors said, you showed such an element of maturity. He said, I want you to start taking junior level classes. Now, this is a freshman. Take junior level classes when we get back in the springtime. He's the only one out of his class that was offered them. Okay? Now, these are things that happen all the time if we're working from either human side, I don't care where, brain or heart, we're going to fail. We will fail. Or if we work from the spirit side, we will succeed. We will succeed. Am I getting my point across? Okay. It's not just for me, it's for everyone. Okay. Let me take another example here. And I was hoping these people were here today, but I don't see them. About 2 weeks ago, a lady asked at a show that I did, she stood up, and her first question, she was the first person at the show to ask a question. She said, and I'm going to put it on the video because I'm hoping she'll watch this and listen to it. She wanted money to start a daycare center. So she asked me, she said, will I receive the money to open up a daycare center? Now I'm using this as a general example for you. You'll be able to put your own ideas into this. Well, her spirit said, that's not the problem. Money is not the problem. The first thing I had to do was to evaluate, where is the question coming from? Well, the question was coming from heart. Fear, doubt, uncertainty. So even if she got all the money she wanted and 10 times more, guess what's going to happen? Self-sabotage. She won't start the place, things won't go well, you name it. Okay? And I explained it to her. that in order for her to receive what she wants, she has to understand what's behind the question. Now, I'm asking you to start thinking about this for yourself, your questions for yourself. In her case, her question was coming from the spirit, well, it was coming from the heart area. It was involving issues that came through her mother's side of the family. These were issues that were telling her through her mother's side of the family for thousands and thousands of years that I'm not going to succeed. Okay? And if I do succeed, there won't be any opportunity for me to succeed. Okay? So the real answer to her question about receiving money is not about asking for money. What do you think the solution was? Any ideas? Please.
Forgiveness.
Good. Forgiveness.
That's one of them.
Right. That's one of them. Very good. Very good. Anyone else?
Gratitude, of course.
Gratitude. Good. Anyone else? Okay. If you need something, I don't care what you need. I don't care if it's money, car, job, I don't care what it is. You need a good idea. You need a good idea. Ideas create opportunity. Money doesn't create good ideas. Never will, won't. You need a good idea. So what's the good idea? Well, the good idea was she knows what's driving these questions from here. She feels like there's no love in the world. She feels like I'm never going to succeed. I'm afraid, this type of thing. The good idea is she's got to get so excited about what she wants, so excited about this, that now she can look you in the eye and say, I want to help your child. I want to create an environment for your child that was far better than the one I had. I want to take your child and I want to give her the opportunity for having a great life. I want to do that for you. I want you to trust me that you'll let me do that for you. I'm so excited about this. I eat this. I drink this. I see this all the time. I create the vision of the place I want to have. Going down to the smallest detail, I begin to work on that immediately. Okay? Now, put your ideas into that for you. Okay? Am I getting my point across? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Ideas create opportunity. Like for this young man, he was afraid. He was afraid of those 3 finals. So what I told him was, I want you to get involved in whatever you need to study and study with confidence from here and get ready to take those exams with certainty that you're going to go in and you're going to be relaxed. You're now enthusiastic about it rather than fearful that you're going to succeed and do well.
So basically believing yourself?
Basically it's, I'm sorry?
Believing yourself?
Believing in yourself with help from God, that you and God are working together to create an opportunity.
Okay.
Because I can believe in myself from up here, from the brain or heart, and guess what's going to happen?
Nothing.
Nothing. Or I'm going to get into more trouble. Okay, that's really what's going to happen. So you're right, but from here. So
Okay.
that's what he did. In order for her to be successful, she has to now get excited about this. So she eats, drinks, she talks about this from the standpoint of, I'm successful. This is how we do this. Because we know we will be, we're trusting them, we're allowing them to guide us. Now, am I being clear about this?
Yes.
Or do you have any questions about this? Do you have something you want us to evaluate? Maybe a situation you're going through. And I'll be very happy as a class if you're willing to share something, and we can take you through it to make sure that you're going in the right direction. Anyone?
How do you stop living from paycheck to paycheck to where it's like, you know, you actually have something?
Would you mind standing, please?
Okay.
Because I want them to hear this. This is a good question. This is a very good question. Please, let everyone hear it, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, how do you stop living from paycheck to where you're not like, oh my gosh, like I have to, you know, wait for the next check so I can pay this, or you're just basically waiting for the money so you can like disperse it and then you're left with nothing.
That's a very good question, right? Now, doesn't it sound similar to what we just went through about I need a certain amount of money to get my business started? So let's go there. Let's go there, because it is very similar. Thank you. All right, so again, we would ask, where is my question arriving? Well, in her case, it's coming from heart area, in this case. Fear, doubt, uncertainty. Okay? That's just the way it is. All right? So we know that she's dealing with an old story. Okay, in this case, the story comes through her father's side of the family. Her father's side of the family. Okay? And the story that's coming through is, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. Okay, it's not just hard. It's not just life is hard. Life is tough. And it's not just like going up an incline. It's like going up a vertical wall. That's coming from her, not me. From her spirit. Okay, am I fair in that?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, that's what you're showing me. So you can imagine that with that energy being transferred from, again, thousands and thousands of years, every generation is playing it out in her own way, but this is the way she's playing it out with this question. And it's a good question. So what we would do, this is what I would do. I would realize first that it is an old story. It's not true. It may appear true. It's an old story. I realize it's coming from here. So now I have to get excited. I have to get excited that there is plenty of money in my hand right now. Now, the physical money always comes after we see the energetic money. Am I clear with what I said here? We're not going to make physical money appear if we don't have the energetic principles in place coming through God. God is the source of everything we do. And I'm going to say that freely for everyone. Okay? That's what I believe. That's what I say.
You're very clear on that.
Yeah.
That's not what I was taught, right?
Okay? You mean as a child? Yeah,
As a
growing
child,
up.
yeah, growing up.
Right.
That's not what I was shown, and I don't think very many people in here were showing any. I think they were all showing something similar.
Right. I was showing something similar too. Hard work,
Because
effort.
this is a new concept
Right.
to some people, including me,
Okay.
recently,
Okay.
that it comes energetically first.
Okay. And it's fair. That's fair. But again, we got to start somewhere, right? So we have to start believing from here that we have the money in our hands. We need to get excited about this, even though it seems out there that there's a lack of money, there's a lack of opportunity. Because your spirit is going to want to give you the opportunities to be successful, just like it's done for me, just like it's done for Pat, just like it's done for a number of people that have lived this way, this new way, and seen
Oh, it works.
Can you just tell them a little bit? Because, I mean, you've seen such incredible things with your
Sure.
business. Would you mind just taking a moment?
Sure. I mean, I grew up.
Standing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up locally here, and I'm the oldest of 5. And the message from my father was, family was, there's never enough. That was the message, there's never enough. So, I mean, we did with like one pair of jeans or whatever, you know. You don't ask for things because it was just wasn't there. You had leftovers because whatever. And so I grew up with the script in my family was you have to work hard. You have to work really hard. And if you're lucky, you'll have enough, right? Because usually there wasn't enough. And so this concept came into my life, to make it real short. Concept came into my life about the energetic part, and when I started becoming a healer, I learned that diseases, as well as success, start in the energetic realm and come to the physical realm, right? And so we can affect things in the energetic realm, and with his help, I just put it on steroids, the thing with my business, and I've been able pretty much whenever I want to, thank goodness, is just manifest business, profitable business like that. In the last year and a half, 2 years, my business has just gone crazy. So now I have to manifest people to help me do it. And we do
That's
that.
the hard part.
And we do that.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah, and we do that.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Right.
It works great.
Thanks.
But now we can just do that with our health.
Got it. And I'll also bring this up too, and I'm just saying this to give you reinforcement to this. A lot of doctors will call me for advice, and they'll, especially young doctors, they'll ask, like, how'd you get your practice started? What happens in downtimes when no one's coming through the door? And when I went through Parker, they told us about all these management techniques, and they have all these people out there that want to sell you things at incredible cost to get your business going and this type of thing. So they always like calling me because I'm always a little different. And my answer to everyone is pretty much the same thing. First thing is, where's your question coming from? Brain or heart? Now, it's not going to matter where it's coming from, brain or heart. They're both trying to self-sabotage you. The second thing is, you need to get excited about what you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're cleaning out garbage cans, because I've done that too. I don't care what you're doing. you need to get so excited about what you're doing from here, from the spirit area, that you're on fire. You want these people to come in so you can put your hands on them. Because your hands are they're like God's hands. Miracles happen through your hands. For you, my friend, it's the same thing. We want you to get excited about what you're doing. So whatever you're doing right now, you can see these children getting healthier, stronger, children that you're working with. You can see that you're very grateful for being there, even if it's not the best place in the world, but we're truly grateful from here. We're allowing opportunity to come to us. We are allowing ourselves to be open. We're helping anyone we can. We expect them to help us because we're going to work together from here. This is how we get things moving. And to a person, so far, the people that have followed this simple formula, they've been very successful, every one of them. They're amazed at how quickly things will turn around, just like Pat said, till they have to stop because now they don't have either the time or the capabilities in their offices to turn it back. But you've got to get excited from here. We've got to be certain that this is what I need to do at this moment. Sometimes the drama takes over because we're familiar with the drama. Drama's here, drama's there. We get familiar with it, we think that's normal. We get beaten down to the point where we have trouble putting one foot in front of the other. But something has to change. We can't get the answers we want in the old way, living in the world. It's not going to work. Right. We have to be able to give it a chance to work. If I want that money, and in our case, it's not about money. It's really about love, romance, friendship, joy, happiness. That is what you get excited about. Getting excited about that so you're upbeat, positive, and I think you kind of understand I get excited about this stuff too. When I get excited like this, I can actually see it. When I can see that energy, the money follows, or whatever it is you want follows. But without that energy, there's nothing to draw it. It really is that simple. Okay. But the question is, what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe what's failed in the past from the human side? That's your choice.
That's what we know.
That's what we know. Right. We were taught that.
Right.
And we're very good at that.
And it doesn't work.
And it doesn't
No,
work. It
but-
won't work.
Just like insanity, we keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results.
No.
We got to do something different. Just one thing. Just change one thing.
Look at the two students. Look at the two students. Both very intelligent. One working from here. Both working from here, actually. One staying here and trying to do well with her classes from here and trying to get the information from fear, doubt, uncertainty. How effective is that? It doesn't work. I know because I've been there as a student. The other was able to make the leap down. He wanted to do well. He wanted to do well. That's one of the primary issues. I want that opportunity. I want the love, the romance, the respect, the appreciation. I want that. And I'm willing to take a chance just like he did. And then, I'm not being stupid on this, I told this kid, study like you were never studied before. But study from here. Study from here so that everything you're studying you retain. And then when you go in, you're more than prepared. You see my point? Am I answering at least a small part of that question?
Yeah.
Now the question is, will you give yourself a chance?
I mean, I thought I had, you know, like,
You may not be here, but you're there. You're there. You're not down here. It's better than being up here, but it's not enough. It's not enough. What you to do? You know what you need to do? People that are working from up here, you need to meditate. You need to take your time. Okay? You need to take the long way around to give yourself a chance to understand what to do to get out of the anger and frustration, to give yourself a chance to drop down to spirit level. Do you see my point? Yeah. So I've had to learn to be direct. I've had to learn to be like a shot, to get things done. The faster I do that, the more I'll stay out of fear, uncertainty, or doubt. The faster that you pick what you want, because you have a choice, the faster you do, you'll get there very fast. Right? The old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. Right? One small piece at a time.
It's making
Gotta start.
Yeah, and you can do it. So let me ask you this. If you could choose out of all the ideas that you've got right now, how would you start? What would you start on first? Because I want to help you. What would you start on first?
I think it's the writing.
Add a little bit more to the writing. What would you do with the writing?
Schedule myself.
Good. Schedule myself, and what else? That's good.
1 page at a time.
1 page at a time. Get it done. You're exactly correct. That's exactly what you need to do. You knew it. Good work. Right? And watch what happens in 3 weeks of doing it that way. Watch how much you'll get done. It's just 3 weeks, maybe 4 at the most, but watch what you'll explode after 4 weeks and get this done. Okay? Please, Ruth.
May I add something?
Please, please.
So what if your old story is, you're not being productive, you're being lazy if you're not actually working, right? You remember that story, right?
Oh.
So one thing I have to do when I allow myself the time
Right.
to actually do the meditation and to actually do my massage or my chi machine, whatever I
Sure.
need to do to help myself get into spirit, I have to give myself that permission
Right.
to allow myself to avoid all the other things that I have to do, which are piled up,
Right.
and allow myself the time and not feel guilty
Right.
that I'm wasting time.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And as long as she's doing it from this area, it will be clear to her what she needs to do from the spirit area. It'll be clear. Okay? Does that make sense? Very good. Yeah. We're almost ready to turn it over to Chris right now. Any other questions?
The oils are
Oh.
being passed around.
Oh, okay. Let me
There's
go-
another one, I added the spirit one also, in case
Oh, good.
somebody needed the spirit one.
Good, good. Let's address that for just a moment, because I want you to, do you have something to read right now?
Oh, I do, actually.
But let me also go to one thing. I've given you some general ideas about how to move from the human side down to the spirit side. Okay? We've also talked about using hypnosis and the oils. Now, the oils have been very helpful for me because the moment I smell certain scents, it'll take me into a sense of relaxation, which helps me tremendously. So it's much easier for me to make this move down. Also puts me into a state where I can get my physical body beginning to move again with the energy moving through my body, so my healing centers are functioning like they need to. It allows me to center myself, which is one of the reasons why the oils have been very powerful. Now, as far as the hypnosis, combining those two together can be extraordinarily useful. Extraordinarily useful. Yeah. Ruthie, would you mind taking a moment here?
So Dr. Berman asked me if I had a couple of stories that I could share with you from people that have actually used some of these blends, spiritual phytoessencing blends that I make. And so I'm not really good at marketing myself, so I've never really asked for testimonials. So today I asked for one, and this is what I received. As a friend of mine, I'm going to read exactly what she wrote. I was aware that she was studying with Dr. Burkowski, a pioneer in the field of spiritual aromatherapy. I also knew she was creating a database whereby a person could potentially be matched with an essential oil that has the characteristics to unblock symptoms at a cellular level. I was going through a spiritual and emotional shift, and it was painful. I was stuck by fear, unable to make changes in my life that I needed to in order to move forward. I was self-medicating, depressed, and hiding from life. And I'm also going to add that she was also dealing with gambling addictions at the time. My self-esteem was non-existent. Ruth asked me a series of questions that I answered truthfully. I received in the mail a small blue bottle with instructions to warm a few drops in my palms and inhale deeply. I was struck at first with calm. With continued use, I started to feel more self-empowered. I got a great job, got control of my nutrition, and attracted my soulmate. I still have that blend, but don't resonate with it anymore. And in other words, what Gary wrote is, in other words, I improved and now need another blend to assist my latest transition and change. And that's because as we use these blends that are so personalized, it's kind of like an onion that's peeling itself, each layer. And so after a certain amount of time, you're not the same person than the person that originally started using the blend. And I'm just going to read one paragraph, another one. This was actually published by a lady that is she's an author. And she actually was instructed by her guides to go to an event, not knowing why, and was told that she would meet somebody that she had met before, and that person would help her. And she met me there. I had met her before, and she got a blend. I made a blend for her. And what she wrote was, I followed the instructions and I'm not sure what to think. I know that since using the oils, my spiritual life has revved up considerably. By that I mean that my experiences channeling spirit masters for messages have increased in clarity, ease, and confidence. My feeling of being connected to spirit all the time is enhanced. My psychic readings for clients have become easier, clearer, deeper, and I love doing them. I find the deepest joy in this work. I am exceedingly happy. And I'll leave you with one other little tiny story. When I was first starting to study with Dr. Burkowski in Washington State, I would travel there and I would meet a friend of mine and then we would room together. And one day I got out of the shower and I went into the room and I was like, what is that smell? I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the smell, and I was like, I had to open the window because I felt like I was suffocating. And I was like, I don't understand. What is that? She goes, I don't know. I was sitting here using my blend, my custom blend, and it smells good to me. And I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm sorry. I couldn't take it. So she says, well, that makes sense. She lives in New York, and she would take the subway, and every once in a while she put her blend on while she was in the subway. And she said, now I understand why all of a sudden I turn around and it's cleared. Everybody's left the mark. Well, afterwards, I find out her story. And this woman was a baby during the Holocaust. And her parents, they hid her under the floorboards and stuffed like towels and rags on her to keep her quiet so that the guards wouldn't hear her. And so the blend was actually a portrait of what she had been enduring and what she was now healing from. So it was a very, very important thing for me because it just showed the power of these blends. Now, Dr. Burkowski is a master at this, and I think I've done maybe 6 or 7 blends since I started studying with him in 2000, but they last quite a while, and then all of a sudden, like the one that I had made a few years ago, doesn't resonate with me anymore. So that's how wonderful these essential oils are. If you are able to match it spirit to spirit, it's just an incredible, incredible support.
What about these blends that you're passing around? Will people outgrow those or move
These
past
are what's
them?
called situational blends. They're not made for one person. In fact, as we created every one of these blends, we created based on working together, and Dr. Berman scanned a lot in order to be able to achieve a certain result in the largest number of people. And so we went through different iterations to make sure that we were meeting certain qualifications, specifications in the statement for each one of these blends. So these are more for the general population. They're not tailored. Now there are other blends that are tailored to the individual. There's some that are based tied to your astrology and your actual chart. And then, it just depends. There's different ones that are molded to the individual, using your life experiences, using all of the important moments in your life to create this blend.
And also in answer to that, it would take roughly 2 years of intense work for everyone in this room, roughly 2 years for you to outgrow these blends the way they are now, roughly 2 years. We design these things to be very inclusive, cover so many different properties, and what Ruthie went through to create this is extraordinary. I mean, she's a master. What she did.
I would
Well,
send him a list of stuff, he'd go, whoa.
Yeah. So,
It was great. It was pretty stressful to do it because it really is very labor intensive. And especially this last one's, the number of oils that actually went into these, and some of these oils are very rare, and it's just, it was really a challenge, but it was an exciting challenge. Right? I was like,
Absolutely.
ask Dennis, I was like really into this. Right?
Very good, thank you. Well, I promised that we would begin to do psychic work where we'd start making predictions. But after watching what happened to me today, and then getting these 2 emails this week, and then also watching how well you did last week with the hypnosis and the oils, I decided that we're going to spend tonight and tomorrow, our last class is next week, that we spend time going over the foundations of manifesting, prosperity. You get that correct, then you can go off and do whatever you want to do. It's very important that we learn. What I mean by that is this. When I ask you to go to your spirit center, you should be able to do it just like this. You should be able to go down, I should be able to look at you, and you should be there. You should be able to do it any time of the day or night with confidence and certainty that you're there. Once you get to that point, the rest of this is easy. The meditation will take us. Yeah.
That's the hard part because I don't feel any different whenever I'm like moving my elevator. Like I don't feel any different from being my brain, my heart, and my spirit.
Okay. Sharon, can you identify with this a little bit? Sharon, would you mind standing, please? Would you mind standing? Oh, forgive me, I don't mean to single you out. Do you have any words of wisdom for this young lady?
Oh, if I've been there. You just have to allow yourself to do it, and you just have to practice, practice, and practice. It's the same thing with anything in life, I guess. And you get frustrated because you think you ought to get it done by now. You know, all these stories go around in your head over and over and over. But you just have to find how you can relax into it. Because you can't get anything done when you're all stressed and tied up in a ball and frustrated because how come this isn't happening and how am I going to do this? Just kind of surrender to it and just say, okay, if I keep doing it, I know I'm going to get there. I know I'm going to get there. And just keep working it. Everybody has found different things that work for them. There's lots of tools.
Yeah.
The oils are tools. Your favorite music. Maybe you have a meditation area that has real meaning to you. You know, it could be just about anything. And then once you can identify, I feel different than I did a while ago. I'm more relaxed. And you can just tell if you feel good. Everybody can tell if they feel good. They may not be able to identify, you know, specific areas where they're at, but they know if they're more relaxed. And then you just build on that experience, and you just keep building and building and building.
Thank you. Thank you. But there's one part I want to add to this too, because we've been doing these classes for what, 10 years? Maybe more than 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, in one form or another, and you're expecting yourself to make huge changes like overnight. It's not going to work. Now, for many years, during those 10 years, and I think Sharon will agree with me here, she's been taking the classes. I'd walk up to her after each class and say, did you get it? Do you sense it? Do you feel it? She goes, no. No. All right, another class would come. I do the same thing. Did you get it? Did you feel it? No. But she kept going to the classes. She never gave up. Never gave up. Now, here's where it's interesting. About 2 months ago, I walk into the office, and without saying a word, Sharon, she rotates around and hands me what I was thinking I needed. She was beginning to read my mind. Now, even Mary couldn't do that. Now, even Mary wasn't able to do that. She's doing it now. Okay, without saying a word, she's just giving me things that I need. I'm just sending it out, she's picking it up. Now this is a lady who years ago would say, I'm not sensing anything. Okay, and now you're doing very well. It takes time. It takes time. I've been at this for 30 plus years. I didn't get this way overnight. A lot of mistakes, a lot of trials, a lot of effort, a lot of mistakes. But I learned from those mistakes. Okay, and I'm asking you, give yourself time. It works, and everyone gets there in their own way. But we get there. God is waiting for all of us. We just have to be able to get out of here, this human side. So, thank you. I want to turn this over to Chris because I want him to take over right now. Chris, would you mind, please?
Area. So any conscious thought I had of, it was in my brain, in my heart, I tried to get in that spirit area and spend most of my week in that spirit area. And what I learned in that area was how, for one, grateful I was to meet Gary and what brought us together and what chain reaction that set off in meeting Ruthie and her beautiful family, Dennis and her mother, Sharon and Sherry, and everyone else in this room that I got to spend time to get to know with and everything. And it's been a wonderful experience for me this week to get to know each and every one of you guys. And we're all in this together, we're all learning together, and to have this amount of talent in one room and all be on the same path is just amazing. So I'm very grateful for each and every one of y'all. So remember that when we do the meditation a little later, and hold each and every one of us in that praise and gratitude and thankfulness so that we can all raise each other up and feel the difference once we get to that spirit spot. And I think that's important for all of our growths. It's Gabby, right? Gabby came up to me last week afterwards, after the class, and asked me, Chris, what is the limitation with hypnosis? And I said, well, I didn't get a chance to tell the story, but I have a great story on where I was learning about the subconscious mind in my journey 20 years earlier. And I came across a passage in a book when I was learning about the mind in general, but when I got to the subconscious mind and the power of it, it talked about a case study from the British Medical Journal from the early 1900s about a man that had elephantitis of the epidermis. What that is his skin was a thick, leathery type of, like elephant skin. He wasn't deformed, but his whole body just had this leathery, all through his whole skin. Well, in that time, he went to see, luckily his family had money, and he had the option to go to every one of the best medical doctors and specialists in that time. But unfortunately for him, no one could help him. There was no, he tried topical creams, he tried everything he could possibly do, and got nowhere in helping his disease. So discouraged, he went home and did what any of us would have done when we don't have hope. He started praying and really trying to find a connection with Spirit, a connection with God, and asking for help. Well, about a week or two later, a neighbor, a friend, someone recommended hypnosis to him with nothing to lose. Sure, he went to see the hypnotist. He put him under, and the only suggestion he gave him was, your left arm looks a little better. Took him out, sent him home. Well, he wasn't real, concerned about that, until about a week and a half later, and his arm started looking a little better. His skin was getting thinner. He said, ecstatic, he went back and worked with that hypnotist for the next 2.5 years and completely healed himself. Completely, from head to toe. He didn't have the disease again. And all the medical doctors in the world, the best ones in the world at that time, couldn't help him. So to me, it reminds me of the pH experiment that we talked about how we can project our mind, use our mind and change material and things as simple as water. And if we're 60 to 70% water, there's no doubt in my mind we can't use that to change the material in ourselves. Another great example of this is during my studies through hypnosis, I ran across this wonderful lady. Her name is Angela Sierra, and she, in the 90s, very driven person, very analytical mind, amazing business person. Unfortunately, she wasn't very spiritual, but that comes later. Unfortunately, at the end of the 90s, she had a horrible car accident, and it crushed her skull. And of course, she's in the hospital. The attending physician at the hospital at the time was one of the best neurosurgeons in the country. Now, he didn't see any hope for her. She was in a lot of pain. She was blinded and paralyzed, couldn't walk. And he didn't give her another week or two to live. So he sent her home to be comfortable and be with her family. And again, you know, she did just like any one of us would do and turn to God and pray. And, you know, I need any kind of hope because, you know, I can't, you know, do anything but hope and pray. Her family started doing research, and they found another neurosurgeon that actually uses hypnosis as well. With nothing to lose, she went to him, and when he put her under, her pain went away. And it subsided for a couple of hours after she left him. So she immediately wanted to spend every second of her life with this guy because she wanted out of the pain. But so he could only see her 3 times a week. He got a wonderful idea of, let's record my voice, and you can, you know, anytime you feel the pain, listen to my voice and it'll take the pain away. Luckily, it worked beautifully. Now, what he didn't understand was Angela's drive and passion. She found something that worked, and when she took that to the business world with her analytic mind, she was unstoppable. Well, now she worked with this hypnosis, her self-hypnosis now with his guidance, and within several weeks, she started seeing shadows again. Ecstatic, she took this to him, and together they worked, and not too long after that, she could see again. Not too long after that, she started walking again, and very shortly after that, she completely healed herself with no medicine and no surgeries. That, to me, explains what Gabby asked. What are the limits of hypnosis? Well, your conscious mind is your only limitation to your body can do. And that's proof to me. That's the only 2 things both of those examples had. They had no hope. They talked to the best specialists in the world, and they had 0 hope. So it took their conscious mind, their doubt, and threw it out the window. What do I have to lose? I'm going to listen. So that's what I gained and learned from that story as well. Now, I read an article last week or the week before about the neurosciences in general are now ecstatically using hypnosis, and there's a staggering number of like 3,600 medical researchers right now in the neuroscience community about how they use hypnosis to explain what science has not yet done with the mind. And if that doesn't explain how cutting edge this, you know, it's just really exciting to be in my field at this point, but also to be with Gary and all these other brilliant minds like Ruthie to bring all this information together and all these years of experience so that we can all come together with helping and healing. Last week I talked about on our way back 10 years ago, or longer than that, it was before we had children, so I drug my wife with me to one of the hypnotherapy conferences, and on our way back, the plane ride, it was terrible turbulence. Again, I love flying. It wasn't a big deal for me, but I was scared. I look in my wife's eyes, and she was petrified, to say the least. And I wanted to ask her, you know, as I put her under, and what her experience was, because she had a great visual experience of her experience of how that helped her. So if you wouldn't mind saying what you felt.
Go to the front, you're on camera.
Well, yeah, so as he mentioned, we had just come back from a conference. So, I mean, we did have 3 days of practicing hypnosis and the induction process and practicing back and forth. It was lecture practice over the course of 3 days. So I don't know if I would have been able to go under that quickly without those 3 days. But yeah, we just happened to be back on a plane flight, and the turbulence was the worst I've ever experienced. I've flown for many years, had a little turbulence, not too big a deal. I don't love flying in general, but I mean, I do it, I tolerate it, but this was a particularly bad flight, and the plane was just dropping, and Chris was seeing. Okay. And so So the plane was dropping, turbulence was horrific, and Chris could see just the panic in my eyes, I'm sure, and he leans over and he says, "Do you want me to put you under?" And I'm like, "Yes." Now, like, get me out of here, because I wanted out of what I was experiencing at that moment. And I'm clinging on to him, and I'm shaking, and I'm just so cold, and I'm just in just the worst state of fear, because I'm thinking this plane might just very well be going down this evening. And so, you know, I'm holding on to him, and he starts the induction process where he starts taking me down. I start to relax, and all I can focus is on his voice. And luckily, like I said, I had these 2-3 days of training where I was just really zeroing in on his voice, even though we're shaking horribly. And if I can get under that quickly, you know, with just 2-3 days of practice in a plane that is shaking and dropping, like, and we're shaking so hard, you guys, and I'm like, this plane's going down, but if I'm gonna go down, I'm going in peace. And yeah, and I could not believe, I was stunned at how fast. I mean, within a minute or two, all of a sudden, my eyes are closed, and I can see a pinpoint of light. And then all of a sudden the light just comes, like, it's like a fireball, but it's blue. It's a blue, like a neon blue light just like flies right at my face. And the moment of impact, I felt instant warmth. I felt like I was just wrapped in a blanket. I stopped shaking, I wasn't cold anymore. I knew instantly that everything was gonna be fine. I just experienced just the most blissful peace I can't even begin to tell you guys. It was incredible. And I don't remember if I told you that when I came out or if it was out, but the effects lasted for hours. After the plane landed, even on the drive home, I was just like I took a pill or something. Like, it was just peace and relaxation. And
So basically you're asleep?
no, I did not sleep. No, I just stayed quiet and listened to his voice and followed his guidance.
We were at a conference, and I would practice the new techniques or anything I'd learned that evening with my wife, just so that I learned the concept. So the next day, if I needed to ask, well, this didn't work, that didn't, you know, I like to go to as many conferences as possible to learn as much as I can, so that I can better help people.
But while the plane was in the turbulence, she was asleep?
No.
I was wide awake. No, I
Just-
was
just
awake.
as
You're
when we-
awake?
Yes.
But when you go down to your spirit level, or you go into hypnosis, or in that hypnotic state, you still remember everything. You know, you're thinking more of a stage hypnosis or Hollywood. That's not this.
Okay,
That's the misconceptions
Okay.
of hypnosis, and that's
Okay.
the problem that a lot of us have with
Okay.
the mainstream. And I want to change
Sorry.
that, and that's why I want to
Oh, no,
learn
it's
as
okay.
much as I can to help people change that.
Okay.
Thank you
That's right.
very much.
Thank you.
Extremely important. There's a reason for why we're doing the meditation, and we're using hypnosis. And 2 parts to this are very important, then we can go. The one part where we're separating our cellular structure, and we can actually see it being separated. That is literally physically repairing our bodies, physically. We are taking care of ourselves on that level, and as Chris was saying, encouraging those old stories to be removed and putting in the God story, our purpose and destiny for being born. So we have the courage and confidence to do what we want. Now, it is really working, to change us physically. Let's go to the second part. The second part is I'm now disappearing, so I have no weight. I cannot feel my body anymore from where I'm sitting. Now think about this. When that happens, you are everywhere in the universe. You are everywhere. In other words, if I'm going to a business meeting tomorrow, and I'd like to make sure that the people at the business meeting will work well with me, and I with them. When I'm in that state where I'm everywhere, I can actually go to them, and I can talk to them, and I can say whatever I want to say to them that's complimentary. That'll help them. That'll work with them. That will encourage them to work well with me because I want to work well with them. Everyone has to win. Okay? You see how powerful this technique could be. It really does work. If you need help, like the lady who was asking for money, she could be everywhere in the universe, everywhere in the world, talking to people that are vibrating like her, that want to help her find the money, give her the money, work with her. She could tell them her story spirit to spirit, and guess what? They're going to find each other. They're going to find each other. Okay. This is incredible physics that we're doing. Okay. Using this to work with God. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Thank every one of you. That
Yes.
was great.
Yes. You all did well. Now, Pat, you were going to measure. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, he asked me to measure, and actually before, he doesn't know this, but at the beginning of class, when y'all walked in, the question was, at what level of was your energy and acceptance? It was 23% as a group. When he was explaining the concepts up here, it was hovering about 40. When we were working on getting in our spirit in a group down here, it was about 57, 58. After the meditation, it was at 88.
Very good. Thank you.
Great.
Very good.
Out of 100. That's out of 100.
Out of
yeah.
100, yes. Very good. You see, this can work if we give it a chance.